Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? No! I thought not. It's not a story the Jedi would tell you. It's a Sith legend. Darth Plagueis was a Dark Lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midichlorians to create life. He had such a knowledge of the dark side. He could even keep the ones he cared about from dying. He could actually save people from death. The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. What happened to him? He became so powerful, the only thing he was afraid of was losing his power, which eventually, of course, he did. Unfortunately, he taught his apprentice everything he knew. Then his apprentice killed him in his sleep. Ironic. He could save others from death, but not himself. Is it possible to learn his power? Not from a Jedi!
I wish you didn't have to be this way. Told me that you'd be home soon. You never came back, was I supposed to do? Hey Pop, if you hear this song, I did what you told me and I always stayed strong. But I admit, I can't keep this up. I try not to be down on my luck. The times change. I still hope you remember me. Torn up inside. I do what I can, and I do what I can. I still wanna be your little man.
Look at that, we're live. How's it going, YouTube? Hope y'all are doing fantastic out there. We got a great episode coming up ahead of us. So stick around, grab some popcorn, grab some bantha tracks. What do Star Wars folks eat for snacks?
Tip yip.
Tip yip? Sure.
I don't know.
We should have done we should have done the Lego holiday special for Thanksgiving week. But alas, we got other plans. So let's get right to it. Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. I'm Aaron Hoolian, and this is WSTR, Galactic Public Access, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 247. We hope you and yours are well, and with everything crazy going on, we want to continue to be a platform that promotes positivity, life, hope, and a little Star Wars along the way. Today, we are doing an Imperial Inspection on none other than Finn. But before we dissect the First Order turncoat, it's a very macabre, very diabolical way of describing it. Let's see who we got here. Mr. Todd Hoffman.
Hello there.
Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for taking over last week.
Oh yeah, no, it was hard though, because like when I did the intro, I naturally just want to say Aaron Hoolian but
oh my god,
it's hard, Yeah, but you had a good streak going. It was a good streak.
Yeah, well, it's good to know I missed, but I'm ready to be back.
Yes, you're back.
Miss Heather Allred and Miss Carla Giacalone have the night off, so we will proceed with Todd, a rare event, teasing that news.
Okay, so we have three news items. The first one is ancient weapon from a more civilized time in the pits.
Oh my god, not again.
Question mark. And Swamp Thing.
Right on. I'm excited for that.
That's it. There you go.
Well, that can mean only one thing.
What's that?
It's time for our main topic.
All right. So we are going to be doing an Imperial Inspection on Finn. And if you're not familiar and you're brand new to the Imperial Inspection, what we like to do is kind of do a deep character analysis on the character. And that character this week is Finn. So we're winging it tonight because I didn't get to the show notes. So we're just going to talk about Mr. Finn, who doesn't really have a last name, just Finn.
Doesn't really have a name at all.
Yeah, right. So it's interesting, though, Aaron. He's the first person we see when the trailer launches. And we talked about the 88-second trailer launch. It's about 6 years ago already, just a couple weeks ago. What was your first impression of FN 2187 there from the trailer?
It's a very obvious and direct way to say this ain't your daddy's Star Wars, because we got Desert Planet. We're lulled into a false sense of security, thinking like, oh, it's Tatooine all over again. Then Finn pops up. It's like, wait a minute. We've never seen someone underneath the Stormtrooper armor since A New Hope, and they were in disguise. Yeah. But this looks like a bona fide Stormtrooper, and he doesn't look the way that we imagine. And it's very, very dramatic. He's looking for something, and it's that orchestral sting, and we're just dropped in.
We're dropped in.
Yeah. So it's absolutely just dropping us into a new era of Star Wars, and he was the tip of the spear on that.
Right. So that was our really kind of first impression of Finn from the trailer. And obviously we knew he was hot because he's in the desert. He's in Stormtrooper outfit. It is hot in the desert. And so you're going to be sweaty. So that's pretty much all we knew kind of going into it. And then the second trailer drops and he's holding a lightsaber. What did you think about this kind of reveal of Finn?
Well, I think we all speculated that, he would be touched by the Force in some fashion, that he would be taking up the mantle of the Jedi in this
Right.
in this new trilogy, and that the story would kind of be about him. Turned out not to be the case at all.
Right.
But yeah, there was there's a lot of clashing iconography here, where you have this
Yes.
like
Yeah.
stormtrooper, former or present, who is wielding a lightsaber, and he's in a different outfit. He's on like entirely
Right.
different planet.
Right.
It's how do I describe it? It's like it's almost like an allergy test that like the doctor gives you, where they like expose you to like a bunch of different things and see like what you react to, like all at once. Um,
Right.
they're looking at
Right.
the swelling on your back. It's kind of like that. They're just throwing a bunch of different Star Wars imagery and symbols at you, just
Yes.
rearranged in
Yes.
different orders than you're used to, and it's like, whoa,
Right.
this is entirely beyond what we expected.
Right. And we know, again, we knew kind of going in it. We knew he was a stormtrooper. But then, when you see the trailer and like he's holding the lights, you're like, okay, what else is going on here with Finn? So why don't we dive into the actual movie, The Force Awakens, as we get introduced to Finn. And his first encounter is with a particular pilot, Poe Dameron.
Yes.
And he essentially well, actually, it's before that. Geez, I'm already skipping a little bit. We get to the scene where, he's in the heat of battle. It seems like it's his first battle because there's a lot going on. He sees it all that, and he's part of Kylo's kind of troop. And Poe Dameron's there, and they capture Poe. And after that, he essentially hesitates on an order from Kylo's, like, kill out, because they rounded up all the villagers and put them in like in a big circle. And all the stormtroopers are surrounding this village that was enabling the resistance, or helping out the resistance. And Kylo and Phasma are like, all right, let's finish them off. And Finn doesn't do so.
Yeah.
What did you think of
Uses
the
to pull the
scene
trigger.
there, Aaron? Yeah, what do you think of the scene?
Well, it's probably one of the first instances where we've seen the stormtroopers in any kind of regard kind of humanized.
Yeah.
We have a little bit where they have some banter on the Death Star.
Right.
What'd you think about those new models? Blah 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 blah. I'm not talking about that.
Right.
But we're actually seeing some characterization where up until this point, all the stormtroopers, they're interchangeable. They might as well be clones. They might as well be droids, where they're all just different copies of each other. And that makes for a good bad guy, because you could just like shoot them or cut them down or whatever, and nobody cares.
It's faceless.
Yeah, they're kind of like zombies in that regard. But this is the first kind of confirmation that these are individuals in their own way. And I know there was some stuff in Star Wars Rebels where and eventually the Bad Batch, where we see them like phasing out clones in favor of like conscripts. But at the time, none of us knew that, and no one going to Force Awakens knew that. For all we knew, the stormtroopers were kind of the leftovers from the Clone Wars, and and that's that. They're all evil. Boom shakalaka. There you go. But with this, we have this kind of internal conflict with Finn, where, as we learn later, he was trained for war from birth, kind of born into the Empire, molded by it, shaped by it, all his life. But there's still that kind of conscience that he has deep down from somewhere, for some reason we don't know. Although we all wildly speculated, that said, like, this isn't right. I can't be doing this. And there's also, we get the first kind of hint to his own motivation, where it's driven by a sense of self-preservation. He's not being a hero about this and saying like, no, we need to stop doing this. Everyone, put your guns down.
Right.
He's basically playing along with it as well as he can without actually participating in it. And he tries to
Hmm.
hide afterwards, and he
Yeah.
bl-
Phasma's like, hey, put on your helmet. What are you doing? Yeah.
yeah, and he tries to bluff a
Yeah.
little bit, like, oh, it was a weapons malfunction, blah blah blah. So in some
Right.
ways, he's kind of a coward. He's trying to save his own
Yes.
life, and I don't think anyone can blame him. But we're starting to see some
Right.
different
Right.
shades and contours of what it means to be a stormtrooper, and maybe there's some more dimension to this light side versus dark side, good versus evil kind of dichotomy that Star Wars has typically
Yeah.
had up to this point.
Right. Yeah. Um, and then this is where he encounters Poe again, and he essentially is saying, "Hey, I need to transfer this prisoner," and he kind of pulls him aside and says, "I need to get out of here." You know?
Yeah.
And so it's and this the famous line, "You need a pilot, I need a pilot." Yeah, so we got to get out of here. And so Poe, he kind of escapes with Poe. They have they have to, Poe's never really flown a first order TIE fighter, but he makes do. He figures it out real quick, and they start
Yeah.
blowing up things and getting off, and there they go. And then so they're trying to get away from the first order kind of Star Destroyer, and taking out some cannons and doing all this stuff. They have a little fun
Mhm.
time, and things are exciting. Things are blowing up, and yeah. So and then this is where the name comes from, because he's like, all his life he has only known himself as FN 2187, and Poe's like, we can't go with that. You got to have a new name, and there's something about obviously naming in Star Wars and stuff like that, and he gets a new name, and Poe gives him the name Finn, and he's like, oh yeah, I like that. Let's go with Finn. What did you think of this scene here?
It felt really organic and natural the way that it happened. Um, I- it's it, it basically solidified the relationship between Finn and Poe very early, and it starts to kind of cement this theme with Finn, where
Yeah.
and to a broader extent, a theme of the sequel trilogy is like your family is not, your well, until Rise of Skywalker. Your family's not your bloodline. It's not
Right. Right.
your parentage or who you come from, or even like how you were raised. Your family is the kind of your found family, the family that you
Yes.
choose. And
Right.
it starts with this, where Finn's like, I don't want to be a stormtrooper anymore. And
Right.
he's such a dyed in the wool stormtrooper that he doesn't even have a name, or if he did, he's forgotten it.
Right.
And so it's
Yeah.
this guy, this resistance member who's able to bust him out, that finally gives him an actual identity that he can latch onto. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of like a baptism or a rebirth, where he's no
Mm.
longer F12187. He's
Right.
Finn now.
Finn. Right. Right. So then they go back to Jakku, because we got to get that droid. And Finn doesn't want anything to do with Jakku. And then when he kind of wake up, they crashed. And well, they get shot down first. They get shot down, crash, wake up, and Poe's not there. Poe's gone. All he does is grab a jacket, and then the TIE fighter gets swallowed up by sand. And now he takes off all his armor, so he's kind of like reading the past of who he was. And now he literally just has Poe's jacket and his underwear, pretty much his undersuit, and
Yep.
he's on his way to this outpost that he finally finds. And he needs some water, and he and all this kind of stuff. But then he sees the droid, that Poe was talking about. And then that's where he runs into Rey. So at first again he immediately feels like he needs to be the hero, but he finds out really quickly that Rey can take care of himself. He's kind of impressed by that. And then BB-8's like, yo, that's Poe's jacket. And so Rey chases him. He gets knocked out by Rey, and then this is where he basically only has very limited information. He knows that this droid's important. It belongs to Resistance, and it could have a map of some sort that leads to Luke Skywalker. I mean, it's all kind of like real quick, that Finn gave, or Poe gave him like the little tutorial, like, hey, this is what's going on. And so now he's kind of thrust into this adventure with his newfound friend Rey. In fact, they don't even know, which is kind of interesting. I kind of like this, is that they don't even know each other's name as they're being chased in the sands of Jakku, because things start escalating right away. And it's only almost after the battle where they're like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. You did this and I did this and we were doing great. And they're like, oh, what's your name? I thought that was kind of interesting how they did that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like they've gone through a life-changing experience together, and they don't even know each other's names. And
Right.
I guess in a sense, do we know where Rey got her name? Was that kind of a chosen thing as well?
Yeah, that's true. We really don't know that per se. Yeah, I don't know if that's really explained.
Maybe I'm stretching, but it could be plausible.
Yeah. I mean, that's, again, she might know she was young enough where she would know her name. So maybe that's all, Unkar plot knew or whatever when she was dumped off at Jakku or whatever, but I don't know. But so Finn and Rey, they're fast friends now. They survived this battle getting off planet in the Falcon. And right after that, they meet one of the famous smugglers of Han Solo and Chewbacca. It's kind of interesting how he also knows a little bit of history about Han Solo. So I guess maybe they teach this stuff in the First Order. I'm not sure. What's your thoughts on him running into Han Solo there?
Yeah, it's a bit strange where he learns about Han Solo, but I guess if he's, well, I suppose in the same way that we would learn about like Mussolini, I guess.
Yeah. Right.
Where
You almost know of it,
Yeah, where you get your history lessons as you're growing up, and from the kind of imperial point of view, or the remnants of the empire that end up becoming the First Order, it's like we were doing fine in keeping the galaxy in order and under control, and then these punk upstarts got lucky and blew up our Death Star. Then we tried a second time and they blew that up too.
Yeah.
And they're probably
Good.
framed as these radicalized terrorists. And so
Right, yeah.
I could,
Yeah.
maybe it's stretching it a bit, but I could see it as a if nothing else,
Like a
just
First
some
Order
propaganda, like
Yeah.
them knowing who the bad guys are.
Right.
And
Yeah,
who knows?
maybe
Is that maybe implying that might have been the seed where Finn got kind of his conscience and like feeling like he shouldn't really be doing this? Like maybe we're the bad guys.
That we know that they're almost similar to the clones, or like kind of like flash programmed. We know a little bit about that in some context of like how they train their troops, so maybe, I don't know, that I think that's more of a stretch, but there's definitely recognition of, he knows a little bit about Luke Skywalker, he knows a little bit of Han Solo, so maybe it is kind of more of a propaganda thing, like these were the the heroes or the really the rebellion of the Empire, and we can't have that happen in the First Order. I'm not really sure. It is,
Yeah.
I think it's, they had to know it from someone. There had to be some kind of world knowledge that kind of seeped in to the programming knowledge, if you will. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Um,
It's probably not true, but it amuses me to
yeah,
think of these like Imperial history teachers coming in and being like, this is the enemy. Like,
yeah,
this is what these guys is. They fought for their
yeah.
so-called peace and justice
Right,
in the
right,
galaxy, but you don't need
right,
to worry
right,
about
right.
that. Pay them no attention. It's kind of like
That's right.
the dare coaches coming into school and being like, no, don't do drugs, kids. They make you feel
Right,
awesome, but they're
right,
terrible. Don't do them. And you're like, what shouldn't I do? Oh,
right, right.
you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, you told me not to do this, but I'm going to do it because it sounds great,
Yeah.
Yeah. So now he's not only, he meets Ray, known her for a half a second. Now he's already run into one of the most famous rebel leaders, Han Solo and Chewbacca. And so now they're trying to loop Han into kind of helping them with this mission, trying to get this droid back to where the resistance, essentially. And so he's kind of thrust into this venture, and they finally end up in Maz's castle, which Han feels is a good connection for us to find out where the resistance is, because Han's kind of doing his own thing and doesn't really know where the base is at, and Maz has his connections. And this is where we get a pivotal point where essentially Finn says, I don't really want to pick any side. I just want to get out of here. He wants to get, it's almost like a fear mode. He knows the power of the First Order, and he wants Ray to come with him and just escape. Like, let's just run away,
Yeah.
What did you think of this, Aaron?
I think he's doing some wishful thinking here. I think
Yeah,
he's probably starting to get some feelings for Ray, and I think this is kind of the struggle with him as far as like doing the right thing or self-preservation. And the self-preservation kind of kicks in here where he's like, man, do I really want to help these guys out and just end up getting killed for nothing?
right.
Um, I'm getting my first taste of freedom and actually being a human being outside of the empire.
Yeah,
Do I really just want to throw that away for this war that's probably not even going to work?
right.
And
Because he knows himself, or knows the enemy, or knows the First Order. He's like, they don't got a chance. So maybe if we just run as fast as we can away from this whole thing, we almost kind of escape our troubles, which is also not a realistic thing,
yeah, and that comes into
Yeah,
conflict with Ray, where she's very much more pure-hearted and is basically
yeah,
like, "What are you talking about? Like, uh,
right,
the Empire's out there. We got to stop them." And Ray's like, and Finn's like, "I don't want to have anything to do with that. I just want to
yeah.
like get out there and live my life." And I think he kind of
Eh,
in his head starts building up this life that he and Ray could share together. And it's like, that's
right.
no, you haven't earned that yet.
Well, and Maz really calls him out. She's like, I've seen many different faces. There are many people, and she reads them and basically says, I'm looking at the eyes of a man who wants to run. And he
Mhm.
does. He wants to get out of Dodge. She's like, I know they're bad, and let's just get out of here. And it's interesting too, because like, I guess he could have said like they had a super weapon. It's only till later that he kind of reveals that information, but it's like, I think he just was so scared. He's like, I just want to go.
Yeah,
So
like let this be their
he
problem.
yeah, right. So Maz is like, all right, I got two dudes over here. You talk to those guys, they can get you out of there. So he starts his thing, this is where again Rey's path kind of goes on a different journey when she finds the lightsaber and all that kind of stuff. But on Finn's point, he's about to leave with these two guys, and then that's when the Hazium Prime situation happens, and they do their first kind of test run with the Starkiller base, and they blow up literally a system. And so Finn's like, that worked, and that ain't cool, and so now the stakes are raised. And he's kind of thrust back into the group, and they basically go to find the resistance. And this is where we kind of as they're trying to leave the Tokonada, or Taka Dana, or
Takanudu,
whatever. Taco Dana, tacos,
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. Kylo Ren shows up, and now it's all kinds of bad, and they basically blow up Maz's castle. And now, Kylo is, looking for Rey and looking for the droid, and all this kind of stuff kind of come to a head right here in front of Finn's face, really. And the First Order's there, and he has this kind of moment where he grabs the lightsaber, and Maz is like, "You have a weapon, here it is." And kind of, oh, okay. And now he's taking out stormtroopers, and he has that fight with the baton twirling stormtrooper, which is a very cool scene. I think it's like one of the scenes where Finn is like almost understanding like his potential, I think, a little bit,
Yeah. It was kind of hard for me to buy in the moment that he's suddenly proficient with a lightsaber. And they could have set it up earlier, I think. Where, it's after the first mission at the village, and, Finn's still kind of shaken and he's getting his bearings, and you just need a quick scene after that where they're doing drills back on base, back on the ship or whatever. It's close quarters combat day in the stormtrooper training regimen, and they're in the ring and they're just sparring with some like stun batons or something that they have.
Sure.
Finn gets his butt kicked, and Phasma like stops by, pulls him up. "You're off your game today, FN 2187. I've got my eye on you." Something like that, to make it a little bit more believable that he can wield a lightsaber.
Yeah. Well, and at this point too, really the only non-Jedi that has wielded a lightsaber is Han Solo in Hoth, when he's helping Luke. Like we haven't seen a non-Jedi handle a lightsaber, so it's kind of a big moment. And so I get what you're saying. It's kind of like not. It's,
well, Han was like using it like a tool, like a
right,
camping knife, essentially. He's not back on Echo Base, like slashing through snowtroopers while Luke's in the sick bay.
And we know Han likes. Yeah, we know Han likes his blasters. Nothing like a good blaster on your side. So he's using it as like a tool, where here's Finn, handling a proficient stormtrooper in riot gear, essentially doing his thing. And he takes this guy down, and then this is where he sees Kylo, take Rey, and he's running after him. And so there's a passion there where he knows that like Kylo is probably not the most stable person, and now that his new friend is taken with Rey, or taking Rey away from him, it's he's all in, which I appreciate about Finn. And I think part of that is just he's really the only non-stormtrooper he knows, and so obviously he's gravitating towards Rey. And then we get back to now we're at the base, and this is where he has some pretty good knowledge about the what's going on Starkiller Base. Um, and so, Han gravitates to that because he's like, oh, he's got enough knowledge to help us at least get in there, and figure out
we
what
got
to
a
do.
guy on the inside.
We got to get inside guy, and and Han's like, yes, this gives us a competitive advantage, and it's like, yeah, wouldn't you want to have that person? And it's like, yeah, that makes Finn a little bit more important. And then we find out really quickly after they get there that Finn's more or less a maintenance dude. And went from kind of garbage boy to on the front line really quickly, and it's not really explained, like how do you become a maintenance guy and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, Jakku people, I don't know, but it is
it's
what it
basically
is.
being conscripted into the Gestapo, pretty much.
Yeah,
I think that's the angle they're going for,
right.
where it's like you don't need to be a good soldier to like gun down civilians. You just need to be some schmuck with a weapon.
Right, exactly. And obviously they're trained, so it's not like he's never gone to any kind of, he's a stormtrooper. He just happens to be on maintenance duty for a while or whatever. And so, but he mentions something about the Force, and there's that funny line. He's like, that's not how the Force works, and so you could tell very quickly, like, especially, which is kind of cool with both Finn and Rey, is that they haven't seen much of the world, and it's very clear that they have a very naive look at things, but now he's with Han and Chewie, and he's trying to find Rey, and really that's his only purpose. He has no other, he's like single-minded on that, and he finds Rey. They're back together, and now they're trying to get off, essentially off planet, but Han's like, he can tell right away that the battle's not going well and he needs a little help. And so Rey and Finn are like, okay, let's help you out, and obviously they get separated for a little bit, and because they were turning off some shields, and all that kind of fun stuff, and now we have the separation, and so now they get to see Kylo and Han have their confrontation. Obviously, that's very dramatic. Things happen, but then so he's trying to get Rey out of harm's way, and then we have the confrontation with Kylo. So now Rey trying to hold her own, and then he kind of takes over, and this is another example: Finn holding a lightsaber against a trained Jedi, or Sith, or whatever you want to call Kylo, and he kind of holds his own for a half a second. What did you think of this scene?
When I was watching this for the first time, I was very much in a state where I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know where this is going.
Right.
I'm just along for the ride. And maybe that's what they were counting on. Maybe they were like, okay, this is the part where we put the blindfold on and we're going to spin you around a couple of times and then just like shove you towards the donkey. You got the tail in your hand and you got to pin him on. At the time, I liked it. It felt like a very just kind of raw, stripped down version of the lightsaber duels that we've seen, where they're not doing these crazy acrobatics. They're not, getting like 50 hits done in a minute towards each other. It just felt like one, almost like two knights in armor, sword dueling. Where it's a lot of big, heavy hits. It's kind of slow. It's not super like precise, like rapier dueling. like the
Right.
Princess Bride.
Right.
It's just a very different style, and it felt like a different style of lightsaber fighting for a different era of Star Wars movie. And I'm like, okay, I can get along with this. And I think
Right.
later I tried to like justify it in the story by like, oh, well, we don't know what kind of training Kylo Ren has or hasn't had. We know he's been injured by Chewie's crossbow already. And
Sure.
Finn, he's probably untrained with this whole lightsaber stuff, but we did see him use it before, and maybe he's like
Right.
touched by the Force in some way that's kind of like making him
Right.
fight better than he otherwise would have. Turns out all that's
Sure.
nonsense, but I believed it in the
It was a
moment
good run.
and at the
It was a
time.
good
So I'm
run.
like,
Yeah.
I guess it worked enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's believable. I mean, he doesn't. It's not like he best Kylo. I mean, as you know, it does end relatively quickly, and and then he does Kylo does get the best of Finn, and he's gravely injured. He's injured, and that's where Ray wakes up, and fights for him. And really, that's that's really Force Awakens for us, is that Finn gets really injured, and he needs to stay behind, and we know he's alive, but it's not going to be an easy recovery for Finn.
Right. And I think that kind of clinches his character development, at least for the first movie, where he goes from this whole self-preservation thing where it's like, I don't want to get involved. I'm not going to stick my neck out for anybody. I'm not going to try to be courageous and do the right thing. To this character who's like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm going to stand up and try to defend someone else, even though I could just take off running right now.
Right. Like he makes a stand and says, I will fight for Rey. Because he's really, that's the other thing that's pretty clear when they go on the base too, is like he really he doesn't really know too much,
No.
and it's like, I'm just here for Rey. And it's like, bro, do you not recognize, like, you're in the room, you saw what we're dealing with, and the First Order, and it's like there's bigger things going on, and he's just like, oh, I'm just here for Rey, so yeah, that it definitely he does make a switch, so that's kind of where we leave him in Force Awakens. And then as we roll into Last Jedi, he's kind of in his Bacta suit, he's trying to get healed, and right where he left off, he's focused on Rey. Like, where's Rey? Like, where he doesn't even the acknowledgement of Poe, he just like, he's almost so fixated on Rey, which is
there's something I want to point out before we move on.
Sure.
Going back to Starkiller Base, there's this moment where they get the drop on Phasma, and he's got her at gunpoint, and he makes this show of this big bravado that he has, like, oh, we outsmarted you, you're at our mercy, that kind of thing. I forget what exactly he says, but
I'm in control.
It feeds into that kind of almost like power fantasy that he has, where he wants to be that badass. He wants to be that person who's like in control, but even when he does have power, he doesn't know what to do with it, and he's almost like afraid to use it. Like, if he was if Cassian Andor were in that situation, he just pulled the trigger, like, we're taking you out. No chances, nothing. And it's like, that's someone who like has some cojones. Not so with Finn. He like wants to be courageous and wants to be the hero, but doesn't have the kind of the character to back that up, or the fortitude that it takes. And so he ends up showing that when he fights Kylo, but he ends up paying the price for it and getting injured.
Right. Well, it's kind of like that. It's a fantasy versus reality type thing, like in short order, he's making up this thing. Like, I have this friend now that's Ray, and I want to spend time with her and hang out, and we're just going to, get out of this kind of regime of the First Order. But then the reality is, like, Kylo and the First Order are not really gonna make that easy for him, and
Right.
he gets he almost gets dead. He almost dead, when we leave Force Awakens, So yeah, that's a good point.
Also, she ain't
So
into
as
you,
we-
dude.
That's right. In Last Jedi, we understand, that again, he wakes up, he wants to know where Rey's at, and Rey is off doing her thing, trying to, get Luke to join the fight, and she's doing the Jedi thing, and now that kind of leaves Finn anchorless, I guess would be the word. He's
Drifting a bit.
adrift. So then he's like, he's not deserting, but he's on a solo mission. Really, I need to go to my friend. And so that's where he runs into Rose, and Rose, he's already become a hero in his, during his kind of back to sleep, if you will, in his recovery. His name's already kind of been thrown around, and he's definitely got a little bit more, like a little bit more machoism into him. He's like, yeah, I'm that guy. Yeah, I'm that totally this guy, but he's not really. He hasn't. He's not really filling those shoes, and so now he's somewhat connected to Rose because Rose electrocutes him because she thinks he's going to desert the first, the resistance now, and so they're connected, and they kind of come up with this plan, and but they need to run it past Poe, and so this is the weird, I call it the weird B plot of Last Jedi. It just doesn't. We're not here to discuss Last Jedi, but it's like, so they're chasing each other, and they need the Master Codebreaker, and they're gonna find him on this gambling planet, and we're just gonna go off.
They don't know what to do with Finn, so they're gonna have him run a few errands.
So this is an errand run to get somebody that they need to kind of break the hyperspace tracking. Essentially, is what they're trying to do. It's like the First Order is going to be on us all the time now. We need a code breaker to help us out. So they go to this Canto Bight, and now the thing that I do like about this is it continues to open Finn's perspective. So the first one is Rose, who, this is super exciting for Finn. He's never been in a casino before. There's just a lot. He's like a kid in a candy store, but it's a realization really quick. Like, they're abusing these horses. There's a lot of things going on that you don't see. Like, there's a war machine behind this money, and then the second part is when he runs into DJ, who's the prisoner that helps him escape jail and all this kind of fun stuff. And it's like, DJ's breaks it down for him, like, good guy, bad guy, it don't matter. It's all money that drives the machine. Like, the same people that fund the resistance are the same people that also fund the First Order. And you really can't tell them apart because it's driven by money, greed and corporation. Profiteering. And it's like a really poignant, thing, not only for Star Wars, but in reality too. It's like, yeah, this happens in the real world, like this is a real world thing. And I like that DJ also is like kind of grounding him, like, bro, there's, you see it black and white, and it's really gray. There's a lot of gray in this world, but again, he's still, I don't know if it really sinks in for Finn there either. I don't know. I don't see it
I don't think he
totally
learns
sinking in.
anything.
Yeah, yeah. So now they use DJ. Now they're infiltrating. Now they're back in the First Order. And Finn kind of knows the deal. He knows what to do, and kind of back in the now he's disguising himself as the First Order. It's kind of a flip thing. But
In a
then they get
perfectly
caught.
tailored officer's uniform.
Right, nicely pressed. Nicely
Just my
pressed.
size. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Thank you very much. But now here's Phasma again, and they get captured, and so now they need a little help getting out of this pickle. What
A little
happens next
round
here?
ball of help.
Yes, and they kind of get out of this deal, and then now we have this kind of like showdown, or I don't know what you want to call it. I mean,
A wet fart.
he has now he's going against his oppressor really with Phasma.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, I'm different now, and I'm not this FN stormtrooper anymore. I'm somebody else. And
Mhm.
I mean, it's a cool battle. It's cool.
It could have been cool if we cared about anybody involved.
Yeah. Phasma's totally underdeveloped. That's a totally different story.
Yeah.
We get this thing that happens, and they somehow survive the big explosion. Then they
do a thing. Thing go
they
boom.
do a thing. Yeah, thing go boom. And now they got to get off of Dodge, and BB-8 got Chicken Walker does his thing, and they find a shuttle, not anybody's shuttle, but Snoke's shuttle. They're like, yo, let's take the best thing. Yeah, and they're out, and they get out. They
take the Maserati out for a joyride.
Right, and now they're going. Again, it's not really explained how they know they're on crates, but they go to crates, and they crash, and now they're reunited with Poe and Princess Leia. But again, he's still kind of like, at this point now, it's almost like he loses purpose in a sense. Like, Rey is still not there, and he's like, I'm just gonna kill the thing that made me, essentially. So they have this tech. They basically have a tech. It's kind of like a portable Death Star on the ground, and that's what they're going to use to blow this huge kind of blast door in the crate resistance base. And he's just going to sacrifice himself to take this out. What do you think's going on in Finn's head at this point?
There's a couple of different ways to take this. The most charitable way to take it is, it wasn't until someone from the resistance kind of freed me that I was able to live a kind of human life and be able to have the kind of freedom to go where I wanted to go and do what I wanted to do and actually meet people and relate to them. And it's not hashtag just stormtrooper things, but
right.
actually being a human being. And as a the cards have come down. I can't run anymore. I'm just going to do what I need to do to make sure that these guys can survive. And it's like the culmination of his whole arc is that he's going to put his life on the line for these people in a kind of final act of heroism and sacrifice.
Right.
The kind of less charitable way to take it is, I don't really know what I'm living for anymore.
Yeah.
Ray's not into me.
Right. Yeah.
I guess
that-
I got Rose, but we just went on this whole adventure where like the rich and powerful in the galaxy are kind of playing both sides, and it doesn't really matter anyway. Like, what's the use? I might as well go out. It's a little muddied, but
Yeah. He's kind of like almost disenchanted, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like, okay, I got this new freedom. I got this girl that I'm into, but she's not into me, but we at least can go off and not try to get away from the first order. And then that's all kind of it gets thrown out. And he's like,
yeah,
yeah, all right, I'm done. Let's just, I'll make my sacrifice so maybe the resistance can live on.
Mhm.
But clearly going against a portable Star Destroyer and your little sand skip speeder thing ain't really going to do it. It ain't really going to make a mark. Rose sacrificed herself and slams into him. They have a kiss. There's an explosion, and then, Rose does have the line where it is true. It's like, you can't, you got to fight for the things you love, not for the things you hate, and I think
yeah,
it it speaks well. I mean, it is important for that. And now he saves Rose, and now he's finally reunited with Ray. They have a little hug, there's rocks and blah blah blah. And now they're on the Falcon, and he's kind of taking care of Rose, and Ray almost recognizes like, oh, he's found a person,
hmm
and it's like, that's how we end Last Jedi,
yeah.
yeah.
Not the most
And
satisfying ending
no,
for
right.
for Finn's character up to that point.
right. So we kind of have these two, like almost like, he's gravely injured, and then he almost dies, but then he like is taking care of someone else, but he's not, that connection to Ray, where he started The Last Jedi, is kind of gone in the end of Last Jedi. So then
Yeah.
as we move into The Rise of Skywalker, I really do like, one of the things that I like about The Rise of Skywalker is the chemistry between the three. It's finally there. We have a great dynamic between Poe, Rey, and Finn. And I really do enjoy that first kind of bit. And we know that there's tension from Poe to Rey because he wants Rey to kind of lead the charge, and she's still kind of studying, and catching up
Yeah.
with stuff. But Finn, you can tell Finn and Rey have a good connection, and there's a friendship there, which is deep,
Yeah.
But man, this is where, for me, this just it all falls off the rails, bro. Like, it's just, you have an opportunity, like, you just have an opportunity, like, if you're looking at his character arc, and you have this way of, there's a bit that runs through the whole thing, like he has something he wants to tell Rey. There's this bit that kind of goes throughout the whole movie, and they never answer that bit. We have to fill there's so much spackle that we have to fill in here, Aaron, on this one. I
Don't even get me started.
But if we're specifically talking about Finn, personally, this is where I just, they did Finn dirty.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Say it.
If we are to believe, and it's confirmed in the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, that Finn, let me just repeat that one more time. It's confirmed in the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, not the Rise of Skywalker. They have that Finn is Force sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
and you take that breadcrumb back to where we first began, like that is something where he felt something inside him that said, this is wrong, and I need to be, and I'm better than this, which is like a self-enlightenment moment. Like everybody has those things throughout life, and we kind of live through that in Finn. It's just they don't execute this at all properly for Finn. You know, we have a you know, now Finn is, his name is out there that he deserted, and you could have an opportunity. You could have this whole thing with, like, you know, the stormtrooper kind of rebellion where they say, hey, if Finn could do that, I could do it too. Like, I don't have
Yeah.
to follow the man. I can be the man like Finn. And like, you could have, not that you need this whole subplot, but there, it could be there, you know. And one of the things that I hate the most of the Rise of Skywalker is like when they re-enter the Star Destroyer and he's popping stormtroopers like it's paintball. He's like, boo, 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 boo. And it's like,
Yeah.
those were his brothers, not like I'm making more of like a collective. Like this is like, this was his tribe, right? He moved from this tribe to a different tribe, and you have an opportunity to almost like, in a very Jedi way, say, I'm not going to try to kill them, or I'm going to put my weapons on stun, because I believe, like, if I could change, so can everybody else. But he's just popping them like it's no problem, like no big deal, you know?
Yeah, it's like they make these gestures to make the morality of Star Wars a bit more morally gray, and it's like, ooh, that's interesting. That's pretty cool. But then when it comes to actual like actions that the characters do, it's still either like you're on the good team or the bad team. And it's like, what? It's confused.
But like, again, he was the bad guy, and now he's the good guy technically, right?
Yeah.
And then now, because he made that choice, now all the other guys are bad guys. And it's like, now you're selling everybody short from the First Order. It's like, no, they're all abducted when they're little, and they're flash programmed to be bad guys. They could be good guys, you know, if you gave them a chance, but you're popping them off like there's no problem. And it's like, pew, 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 you're dead. And it's like, okay. So that's one part. Then there's the connection with Jana, which he meets deserters, you know, that also felt like him. So there's others, you know, they kind of touch on it, but not really. And so he kind of connects. Now it's weird because it's like there's Finn and Rey and Force Awakens. Then there's Finn and Rose and Last Jedi. Now there's Finn and Jana and The Rise of Skywalker. And he's like, technically he's connecting, but not really connecting with any of them. You know, it's like the most connection obviously is Rey, but there's an opportunity when everything's going bad and they are, you know, we got horses on the Star Destroyer. They're doing all this stuff and things are blowing up and they are in a pickle. And now the Star Destroyer is like, you know I'm talking about. It's like going down, and you know the Falcon is going to save them. They have an opportunity right there to show like a half a second of like, there's no way they're going to get out of this. And Finn uses the Force, you know, like the push Jana to the Falcon, or he makes a Force jump that's totally not humanly possible, but for a Jedi is. And they don't do it.
No.
They don't do it.
If it worked for Princess Leia, it could have worked for Finn, but I guess not.
Right. I mean, as much as we hate Mary Poppins Leia, there's an opportunity where he could float in space. I mean, we know it's not good for him. He could jump or do whatever, but no, they conveniently just figure out a way, you know, like it's like we never watched Star Wars before because we know like with Leia going back for Luke, and we know the timing, like it wasn't good. Like Luke's losing his grip. He's almost, like have to get right up there. And it's like a very, they're in space, there's space in between. It's like, okay, we got to do this. But no, this Star Destroyer is going down a mile a minute, and the Falcon just swoops in and they just do a thing like real quick. And it's like, you have an opportunity, as fast as the movie is, you have an opportunity to kind of slow it down and be like, here's a hero moment for Finn, and they don't
Yeah.
land it. They
Or
don't land it.
or have like a hero moment, be like a new side of the Force that he can use. Like maybe time slows down and he's able to
Yeah.
move with like superhuman speed and like,
Yeah.
gather everybody up and get them onto the Falcon, something like that.
Well,
But
and we know,
no.
and we know too, like in distress, like that's when it could come out. Like he hasn't channeled that, and he's in distress, and something happens, and he's like, he just acts on it. We again, Luke does it in the Wampa Cave. Again, he's never grabbed a lightsaber before, but that boy's gonna give him, he wants a little Luke, and he grabs the lightsaber, and it's this great hero moment. You're like, oh my gosh, you can do that. That's great. And it's like, if you're going down that path where you're laying the breadcrumbs, like, I got to tell you something, Ray, because you're my best friend. We're tight. I want you to tell that, I wanted to tell you something. And they never execute it.
No. It's to keep you watching, Todd, so you don't walk out of the theater in a huff.
No. It's for me to watch the Lego holiday special. They knew. They like, hey, we need some people to watch this.
That's how
this is where when I look at like Finn overall, this is where this is one of them I just feel got done dirty. It's just, that's my summation of Finn. It's like he's a great character, again, because we never seen somebody, we know that people rebel from the Empire and rebel from, many people, the academy that Luke and Han go to is the Imperial Academy. It's not like, we know people defect. We understand that many people defect. We're seeing that through Finn. And we see how he interacts with people. And now that we have an opportunity here in The Rise of Skywalker, he's definitely taking more of a leadership role, and he's Poe's kind of right-hand man. They have a friendship there, a kingship there. And that doesn't take, like, that relationship with Poe is not fully worked out either, and not with Rey. And it's like, and then, like I said, there's Rose and Jana. And it's like he's interacting with all these people, but then it's like, we just don't know, like, at the end of the day, like, okay, Finn, like, who are you?
Yeah. It's a lot of wasted opportunity, and it's so sad because there's from The Force Awakens, there's such fertile ground for such an interesting character, with him being a former stormtrooper who had like a change of conscience. It's like, okay, what if he had friends? He had to have had friends in his squad or from the academy, and maybe it's like a Starship Trooper situation where they have like this kind of friendship pact, but then situations or circumstances change, and he ends up fighting for the Resistance. What if he runs into them again? Like, what would they do? What would he do?
Yeah,
so much potential there for character development and to get different shades of the whole galactic conflict. We don't get any of that. Either you're a first order trooper and you're awful, or you're Resistance and you're awesome.
We go back to like the fight that we didn't really care about. Like, you have 10 stormtroopers, maybe 15, whatever, around Phasma. why not, like, I don't know, be the better man and not fight her, and like call, like, because like Phasma's, if you read the Phasma book, she likes to hide behind things as well. And it's like, if you call her out, it's almost like, hey, stormtroopers, it's not me against her, it's us against her. And
Yeah.
how cool would that be? Instead of like, see you
Yeah.
later, bucket head, or whatever he says, and smashes her skull and she's gone. It's like there's almost opportunity there to like show us that he's changed, instead of like, I'm in charge, Phasma, I'm in charge. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or
You go back, it's again, you're just using a typical fight.
yeah, or like the resistance is on Crate, like the Empire forces are drawing near, and there's this squad of stormtroopers who are marching out to their base, and they're like, "What's going on?" They go out and meet them, and they're like about to fire on them, and they're like, "No, no, 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 wait!" And like one of the First Order troopers like rips off her helmet, and she's like, "We're defecting. We heard about Finn, and this all the great things that he's done. We'd like to, be part of the resistance too." And then Finn becomes like the leader of this like rogue squad of First Order troopers, and give him a cool name like the Hell Troopers or something. I don't know. But then like he has a purpose that he could slot into. Give us something.
Yeah. Well, again, it's like, if you kind of look at it this way, right? You have the arc for in Last Jedi is like Poe is taking the mantle from Princess Leia. Like Princess Leia is like, you are the next resistance leader. And again, say what you will, like Poe learns from his treason and all this stuff. Like he's learning like, oh, I just can't, again, his character art's like, oh, you just can't shoot things out, you just can't shoot and blow things up. You gotta use the noggin, and that's what Leia's kind of teaching him, right? There's kind of that arc. And then obviously Rey is our Jedi arc. It could be, and then Finn could be another Jedi arc if you really want to get, but like there could be, like, if you don't want to really pursue that Jedi thing, like you said, like this, he could be a symbol for the First Order, and nothing is more scarier than from a First Order perspective, like troops not following orders.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's in the name, First Order. It's like they need order, and they look at the resistance as chaos, and nothing more says chaos than your troops like defecting or not following orders, or I want to know more about Finn and why, if he could do it, I could do it too, and all those kind of stuff. And again, you don't need a whole movie to say all those things. That's what I'm saying. Like, film, that's one beauty about film. Like it doesn't take much to guide the audience or tell a story. You could do it, but it's like they spend the whole movie chasing MacGuffins and not really building up these characters that we're trying to follow, and it's like, oh
yeah. And even like the relationships that he has with other characters, those are all short shrifted too. Like in The Force Awakens, we get some great chemistry between Finn and Poe, and it's like, oh, we could have a bromance going on here. And then
we even talked, I know, remember you said, well, maybe it could go romantical, it could go down that route, which would have been totally different than what we've seen,
and then by Rise of Skywalker, they're like, Poe has a girlfriend, he's super straight, guys, don't get it confused. It's like, man, they could have had something interesting and new for Star Wars, but
alas, no. But we had the kiss, like in the end, for our LGBT community. It's so stupid. It's stupid, man.
Well, Todd, it's because we're looking at it like people who are interested in a good story and an interesting universe, and characters that we want to bond with and
Yes.
rally for and everything like that. But Disney is looking at these movies like a product, and they're like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
we have to check these boxes so that we can be hip with the youths, but we
Yeah.
can't go too
Well, and-
far or else we'll piss off people in China or whatever. So
Right. Well,
they
but you
end up
have-
making this like this bland oatmeal, and it's like, man, that's not what it looks like on the box. Like, this looks like a 4-course meal.
And again,
Ugh.
John Boyega pretty much calls them out after this all is said and done, right? So
Yeah.
you know, like if you look at the marketing of like how they market Finn at the beginning, and you are using an African American male like as one of the leads, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Like, this is a great thing. This is progression. This is awesome. We love it. But then you just, I mean, by the end of Rise of Skywalker, you have no idea. Like, you just have no idea where the motivation of Finn and who Finn is and who he could be is just lost in the sauce. It's just
Wasted.
Yeah. Wasted. Well, again, if the quick rewrite is, for me, is either you make him, you know, not only do you make him like this kind of hero of the rebellion or the resistance with the First Order, you know, like where stormtroopers rally with him, because like that was the other thing that would have been cool too, is like the quick rewrite is like, okay, resistance is in the Falcon. When we leave The Last Jedi, how cool, like you said, with Crate, or even the beginning of the Rise of Skywalker, where we see that all these people are defecting and finding Finn or learning about Finn, and now you have an army of First Order defects, you know, like that's where it grows. And it's like, again, you don't have to say too much in film. It's like, it's all right there. And it's like, oh, this is awesome. We love Finn. You know, he becomes this leader. He becomes a leader, you know? So
it completes his arc. He goes from someone who's just cared about himself and doesn't want to get involved to someone who's responsible to other people, and that other people look up to him, and they're like, we're going to follow you and we'll do whatever you say. And he's going to lead them. And you don't have to touch force sensitivity stuff. You don't have to touch lightsaber Jedi stuff. Leave that all to Rey. That's her shtick. But you still get that development with Finn, and he has like a purpose that he can then serve. It's like, yeah, that's awesome. We don't get that.
Nope.
We get a fraction of a million other things.
We do not get a lot of anything in the Rise of Skywalker.
No.
Oh man.
Shameful.
Oh well. It's shameful.
We could go on for another hour, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you look at the 3 character arcs, again, you just don't land the plane on any of them.
No.
It's unfortunate. It really is. Because like, I think like if you look at Rise of Skywalker as a movie, I think it's one of the most well acted Star Wars movies. It's just, well, they're like in their A game, and they just they don't give. I mean, it takes 3 movies. You know, we complain about you know, our original superheroes, our original heroes don't get connected, right? So we don't have that hero moment with the originals. And then it takes to the 3rd movie till they're connected, you know. And it's just a shame. Like I just wish we got that more in some respects, because it starts to click, and by the time it clicks, we're done. It's like, I'm starting to, like I can get used to this, and it's like, oh no, we're splitting everybody up again, and see you later. You know, Rose, you just stay here. You just stay here, Rose. You don't, it's like, oh
yeah.
Okay. So,
Such a
anyways,
mess.
yes. So Finn, if you look at it like again, if you look at it from a like a first order or empire view, just like he could have been very scary potential because you have somebody that knows the system and could drive a division between the ranks, and we just don't get that, and that's where it's like that would have been such a cool story because I kind of look at it like, if we want to take sports for last little analogy, take sports. You get somebody from a different team and you put them on their team, and it's like, hey, what kind of plays did they run? And they're like, oh, well, this is what we do. And you have like this inside kind of knowledge that makes your team better. And that's exactly what Finn brings to the table. I don't care if he's a maintenance man. He knows the first order. He knows what to do. And again, if you add that little piece of people rally towards him, then that makes him like, it just makes him such a strong character. And we just don't get that. So.
Missed opportunity is the name of the game when it comes to Finn.
Name of the game.
Such a shame.
It is. But hey, we got to move on because we will be here for another hour or so if we don't keep on moving. So, but we're not going to miss an opportunity to tell you about Audible because Audible, big ding, been doing this for a little bit. So audibletrial.com/WSTR is how you get a free 30-day trial of Audible. It's the Amazon's audiobook service, and they have 450,000 titles to choose from, and you get one free Audible book and 2 Audible originals, and that's audibletrial.com/WSTR to get your free trial right now. Check it out. Also, we have Patreon. So patreon.com/WSTR media is another way you can support the show. And you could be like our current patrons, Jeremy Myers, Scarif Scuttlebutt, Elena Strikes, Nicholas Schaefer, and Rule Farm Boy. If you want to support the show in a different way, do it. And we would love for you to get exclusive content like Aaron's new tabletop behind the scenes extravaganza.
Tabletop workbench, where I talk about all the nerdy crap that goes into my Star Wars tabletop game. We're talking about Star Wars 5th edition and all the prep work I put into it and my thinking behind how do I run the game? How do I make it fun for my players? So if you want to behind the curtain look. Oh, yes.
What?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my gosh. Yes. Love it. Love it.
So, awesome. If you want to peek behind the curtain and what tabletop gaming is all about, check it out on Patreon.
There you go. Patreon.com/WSTR media is how you do that. All right. The bills are paid. And now, speaking about trash,
it's time for the Twitter Trash Compactor. Okay, it's Twitter Trash Compactor time. We are looking at the 20th anniversary of the Nintendo of America GameCube game Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader. What is your favorite game from Factor 5? Drop those comments. Hashtag We Are Red 5. Okay. So, yeah, I missed out last week on the episode, but y'all were talking Rogue Squadron, and we had quite a few votes. So, favorite game from Factor 5, we have Rogue Squadron, Battle for Naboo, Rogue Leader, and Rebel Strike.
Yeah,
we had a write-in kind of from the Mandalorian. Who said Rogue Squadron, hands down.
Hands down. Have you played any of these games, Aaron?
I've played Rogue Squadron. I have not played the others, I'm afraid. Because I did not own a GameCube.
What?
I know. Hard to believe. I had the N64, and that was as far as I went with Nintendo consoles.
You could have got the Battle for Naboo. That was on the N64.
I went down the PlayStation 2 route. I got the PS2 Slim. And then I went PC, and I never looked back.
I don't need your consoles. Yeah, I mean, we explained this in last episode. Factor 5 was at the right place at the right time, found a niche, and really developed some really solid games for both consoles. And it's pretty cool to fly an X-wing, and they expanded that and got some ground stuff in there for Battle of Naboo and a little bit in Rogue Leader. And I think that we even got a little third person in Rebel Strikes. I'm pretty sure we got on the ground for Rebel Strikes. So they mixed it all up, and they just found a really good niche. And obviously Star Wars is a great license when used properly. But what did the votes say here, Aaron?
Well, coming in at number 4, Rebel Strike at just 9% of the vote. Not so good. Carrying home the bronze, Battle for Naboo, 18%.
18%. Okay.
Then we have bringing the silver, Rogue Leader at 27%.
Rogue Leader.
And of course, bringing home the gold, Rogue Squadron at 45% of the vote.
There we go.
Landslide victory.
That's right. I mean, it's the first one. I don't know if you remember this, Aaron, but that had the 4 megabyte expansion. Boop. You put that in your N64. It literally sharpened the graphics for
get those textures, the resolution.
The textures.
Oh my god!
Oh, it was magnifico. But like my brain couldn't wrap my head around. Like, wait, they thought about expanding the memory, and I was like,
yeah, dude.
And like Rogue Squadron
supercharged your Nintendo.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, this is awesome. And it's like, what's this slot doing? You're like, it's like, oh, and you could test it out. Like, you take it out and you play Rogue Squadron, and it was like jaggy. It looked awful.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like an Atari thing. You put that thing in there, you're like, man, this looks lit. This is amazing.
Yeah.
It's just another kind of cool little thing that happened during that time, so
this is a side tangent, but I think it's hilarious.
We love them.
Most people who got the expansion pack got it because of Donkey Kong 64, and it was bundled with the game at great expense, because when Rareware was making Donkey Kong 64, they had a game-breaking glitch that would not occur if you had the expansion pack in there. And they tried forever to get this glitch worked out, and they couldn't figure it out. They just knew that it wouldn't happen if you had the expansion pack. So they basically had no choice but to bundle the expansion pack for free with every copy of Donkey Kong 64. And
because they knew if you didn't put it in your console, you would never get past the glitch.
Exactly. So they required it. It was not necessary for the performance, but for whatever reason, they never figured it out. The game would crash unless you had it in there. So they had to pay buku bucks to bundle it for free in every one. So
I love that nugget. I love that nugget. I might have tossed that one away. I think I've heard of that, but that is pretty amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So if you were an enterprising N64 player and you were like, I want to get the expansion pack for Rogue Squadron, but I don't want to just go out and buy a separate expansion pack. Well, buy a copy of Donkey Kong 64. That's thrown in.
Oh my gosh. Because it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. So that's all the trash, right, Aaron?
That is all the trash that's fit to take out. Right, which means, what time is it, Todd?
It's news of the week. All right. First up, we have from comicbook.com, Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser shows off lightsaber training. So if you're sleeping a rock, we had a first look at Disney Parks experience of Walt Disney's Star Cruiser. So not only did we get, they showed off the retractable lightsaber. Aaron, I don't know if you saw that video.
I did.
I just kind of like just dissolved in my chair. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But then they go further, and I think this was at D23 this week, and they just show a little bit more of what they do in the Star Cruiser. And so they show the lightsaber, and obviously this is podcasting, so we can't show you the video, but really all it boils down to is that it's like think of training remotes on the wall, and then it shoots these laser beams, and as the laser beams go across, you use your lightsaber and you block them, and it makes the sound as you block them. And these are like lasers coming at you. And then so they showed him doing some kind of basic parries, and then she kind of turned it up at the notch at the end, and it's like super fast, and he can't keep up, and it's fantastic. So that's what you have in store when you do lightsaber training at the Star Cruiser Hotel. It looks really cool. Unfortunately for me, Aaron, I still can't, just shove like $8,000 and just say, here, take my money. And, so, but it looks cool.
Well, if you win the lottery, you're going to have to take one for the team and do a little research for us.
Yes.
Go out there with a little tape recorder and let us know what's the dope.
I'll take a legal GoPro footage here and be like, all right, this is what's going on. Yeah. But they do. I've been there. They've been having this bounty hunter thing for a while. It's all linked to merchandising. Every week they're releasing stuff, But if you go, it's like StarWars.com, like bounty hunter or something. They are giving away a free trip. So you can enter daily for like a couple weeks. So I've been doing that every day because that's the only way this boy is going to get down to the Star Cruiser if I win the lottery or win a free trip. So there you go. All right. Next up is coming from bleedingcool.com. This is talking about Star Wars Rancor HasLab loses backers after Hasbro's latest reveal.
Oh my God, Todd! What is going on? Okay. What is a Rancor HasLab?
So the HasLab is think of a Kickstarter program for Hasbro is HasLab. Okay. So they say, okay, we know you crazy fan. We want to give you the best of the best, but we are not going to mass produce this in stores. No. We need backers to back this up. And if we get funded properly, we will put everything up. And then as this gets backed, you get free perks along the way. And here's your whole package. So they've done this twice successfully. So they did Jabba's Sales Barge was the first one. And then they did the Razor Crest last year. And now this is the third HasLab project for Star Wars. And it's the Rancor. Now, it's not any other Rancor. It is a 2-scale Black Series 6-inch scale Rancor, and it's ginormous. It's huge. And so over the weekend, what they did is they showed a fully painted Rancor, like not like a production model or like a little like computer graphic model. It's like the real deal, fully painted. And they said, hey, okay, here's the first tier. They're like, you get a Gamorrean guard. You got to have a Gamorrean guard with the, because he eats them. You got to have them, right? So then the next two were, you need Luke Skywalker. Of course, we need another Luke Skywalker
again.
And then you need Salacious B. Crumb because he hangs out with the Rancor. And that look is, my friend, is why this is happening. So if we go down here, blah 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 blah. It's like they don't know they're like, okay. So what
who thought this was a good idea?
Yeah, it was a great idea. I mean, he looks amazing. So Hasbro did not want to include the two figures fans have been requesting, which was the Rancor guard Malakali. That's our fat name? Little, yeah. He's our fat crying Rancor keeper. We love him. We want him. No. And then the Twi'lek dancer, Ula, is the one that
Hmm.
falls down in the pit. She screams. Those are two characters that directly interact with the Rancor. But no, they want to give us another Luke Skywalker and Salacious Crumb, which has nothing to do with the Rancor. So
Man,
I know it's sad. So they roughly lost 500 backers since Friday. So the goal was 9,000 backers, and the current backers have gone down to 5,300, or it was 5,300, and then it went down to 4,800. They lost some people's. So
that's not good when it comes to a Kickstarter.
it's not the right. Yeah, that's not the right rate you want to go. So I looked at this thing and I was like, this is fantastic. But like these other perks, it's like the market, and yet you don't. Like, I would like the Rancor, and then the little guy, the little Nakudo guy that's like on him is like, it's okay. Like, those two guys are awesome. Like, we need more of this. We don't need another Luke Skywalker.
Also, what's the price on this?
$350.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah. So what the article ends is like, it says has Epic Games campaigns at the same time with G.I. Joe and Ghostbusters competing with Star Wars. The Rancors was priced way too high to begin with, and for $350, I'd rather throw in an extra $50 and get a 1-to-1 scale proton pack. So
just go buy like a Nintendo Switch or something.
Oh my gosh, I know. Again, too much money for. I mean, it is cool looking. Don't get me wrong. It looks beautiful. Rancor is one of my favorite monsters. But like, if you really want to sell it, this is not it. This is just not it. So,
wow.
So there you have it. And then finally, this is coming from CBR.com. Star Wars designer poses with Empire Strikes backed scrapped Dagobah dragon. Okay. I know, again, it says Nick Maley reveals a new look at No Guard, the Dagobah dragon that was cut from Empire Strikes Back. So again, this is podcasting. I'm sorry you can't see this. We'll post it. But Nick Maley, it shows this weird Dagobah design creature. Have you ever seen this?
No. He's got these kind of like raised speckles all along his hide, and like these weird, like kind of like tubular eyes. Kind of looks like a frog.
Almost looks like a frog. Yeah, like a frog. Like a frog. He has like a froggy texture, like amphibian kind of look. But like you said, like a weird kind of stalked eyes and like kind of a beak mouth. It looks cool. I wonder if it's just like it was something. Maybe this was like supposed to be like the dragon that ate R2 or something like that. I mean, it's definitely a different creature altogether. But yeah,
there's a lot cut from Dagobah, because at one point we were supposed to get like spiders. They ended up showing up in Rebels.
Yes.
But
and
they just kind of they just kind of turned up in, or Dagobah mostly ended up being just kind of like a swamp, and the focus was on Yoda and Luke, and it's like, yeah, that's probably the right call. But lots of stuff on the cutting room floor.
Yes. Yeah. So anyways, I thought that was super interesting. It looks cool. Again, like you said, there's so much going on in Dagobah. They probably just could not fit all these creatures in. But yeah, it would be cool to see something that large in Dagobah, So
yeah,
there you have it. No Guard. Great name. All right. Well, that's all the news of the week.
That means it's time for Cantina Chat. All right, the part of the show where we talk about everything geeky and weird coming on in our lives. Todd, what have you been up to?
Well, we just talked about it. I just when I saw that lightsaber on Saturday or whatever, I was just like, I should watch that clip like 1,000 times. I'm like, that's some cool movie magic, because they couldn't even do that in the movies, but now they could do it. Yeah, that's some serious Imagineering. I was just like, oh man, that's great. Rewatch some Shang-Chi. Really, really a great flick. Got to see that. It's so good. Watched it with the family and really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been a crazy week. The kids unfortunately got corona, so it's been a crazy couple of weeks or a week. Bummer. Really, of crazy stuff. But yeah, so just kind of dealing with that. Been playing some Forza 5 for Xbox.
Really?
It's good. It's good. Yeah, it's really like the first time where I'm like, okay, this is like next gen. It's like super cool looking, super fun and exciting, and get to travel all around, and a lot of cool weather effects, and just a fun racing game. And the social part is like, you're kind of doing your solo thing, but there's other racers you can just, you can like almost instantly like connect with them, but they're racing in the same space you're racing, which is kind of a cool thing. Yeah, it's just a cool little, cool game. So I'm playing that. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So that's pretty much it for me. It was a pretty low week. Oh, it started, and I did start the new Thrawn, and it's like 24 hours.
Wow, that's a long audiobook.
Some serious Mark Thompson. So yeah, so I just started that came out Tuesday. So really enjoying it so far. I mean, it's the third in the trilogy. I have to finish it obviously, but yeah, when I started, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's 24 hours. I have to get the exact runtime, but I was like, oh dang,
that's a long one.
That's a long one. That's a I want to go to the store and see how thick the book is, because that gotta be a thick book,
That's hefty.
So, yeah, it's hefty. So that's it for me. The girls did not write in. Unbelievable. I don't know. Shameful.
They better have Aaron, like a double portion next week.
right. Not a quarter portion, double portion.
Yep.
Aaron, tell me what's going on in your life, man. What's happening?
Yeah. Well, I think Heather spilled the beans last week, but I got a dog now. She's downstairs at the moment, but yeah, little French bulldog. She was a stray on the street that one of our friends found, and she couldn't take in, so we at the apartment decided to take her in, and we've named her Bougie.
Bougie.
Yeah, because we seriously thought about Cookie for a while, and that's one I really liked. But we decided to name her after her personality, not what she looks like. So Bougie stuck, and she's a princess through and through.
Bougie it is.
Very sweet, very lazy, very cuddly. Can be quite stubborn at times. So she's been a delight to have around. So really awesome. Loving having her around, taking care of her. As far as nerd stuff, I've been reading Star Wars Republic Commando Hard Contact.
Oh my, nice!
I've got the whole trilogy. Picked them up in a bookstore back in September, I think, but haven't really read them. But I'm actually sitting down to read them. So lots of great stuff so far.
Yep,
that's right up my alley.
Books. Yeah.
And then been running my Star Wars game, where it'd be too long to catch you up on it, but it's just been action packed, and things are winding up to like this huge battle between my players and their mercenary company, and like a rival mercenary company that they've been like at odds with. One of my player characters died in this past game, and it was super dramatic. And he and I kind of like talked it out in private messages between games because we left off at a cliffhanger where it's like, yeah, he's probably screwed, but there's a slim chance he couldn't make it. And he's like, you know what? Just make it a cinematic death. Have him pull a Boromir, and we'll go from there.
no way.
So, but yeah, there's a perfect opportunity to set up like his new character within the same kind of adventure that the players were going through. So it just worked out really well, I think.
Wow, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, there's still some things where I feel like I could have handled it better, as far as making it more fun for everyone. But this is also probably the first time in the campaign where they're like, we are probably screwed and should think about retreating. And because I keep throwing these like really difficult battles at them. They've handled them all really, really well.
Yes.
And it just one way or another pulling a rabbit out of their hat to
right
get past them, but
survive another day. Right.
Yeah, and this was the first time where it was like, oh, we might not make it out of here. They're still not out of the woods yet.
Gotcha.
But if you want more details about that, check out our Patreon where I talk all about that
there
sort
you
of
go.
thing.
There you go, man.
And then I guess the only other nerdy thing is we're taking a little bit of a break from our Star Wars night at the apartment to start watching some holiday films, and we're easing into it with some Christmas adjacent movies. These are movies where they're not about Christmas, but they like take place during Christmas, or like Christmas is like a subplot of the movie, or like
yeah.
For example, like Die Hard would not be one of these because that's he's trying to get back to his family for Christmas. But something like Edward Scissorhands, where part of the movie actually takes place during Christmas, but it's not about that.
That's right. Right.
And so for this past week,
there's that one Harry Potter movie where it's like they have Christmas. They have a Christmas break.
Exactly. Right. So for this past one, we saw While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock and Bill Pullman, and takes place in Chicago. Sandra Bullock plays a CTA employee on the Brown line.
Nice.
And so there's a lot of like pointing at the TV and like, I know where that is, and oh, they're over there, because we're in the city.
It's like, yeah. It's like the Leo DiCaprio meme where he's
exactly, yeah, exactly. And but yeah, it was a great movie. Quite a delightful rom-com and a comedy of errors, wrapped up with a Christmas bow.
There you go.
So yeah, we enjoyed it. And that's about all I got.
All right, great. Well, I think it's time to put this episode to rest, just like Finn.
Please do.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of WSTR Galactic Public Access. You can find these fine people on the socials, and they could be social with you. Hawk Osman, awesome on Twitter and Instagram. Carla Marie Jack on Instagram and Twitter. Myself, Tizad, and Big T Little T podcast. You can find us on the Instagram and Twitter. Aaron Julian is on the Instagram. And
oh my God.
We are part. Yeah. And then we are part. You should just spam it with a bunch of bougie pictures, man. Like just get
Oh, good idea.
Yeah. And then you can we are part of the Red 5 Network. Red 5 Network can be found on the Instagram and Twitter. And then us, WSTR Media, we everywhere. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, we want to hear from you. So if you comment, tweet, rate us on Apple Podcasts, if you give us a 5-star review, we will throw swag in your face. Or you can give us an email. Yes, drop us an email at mailbox@wstrmedia.com, or leave us a voicemail 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. This way we can leave you can leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the air in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll throw swag at your face as well. Hey, we got a back catalog of issues. Aaron, I know it's hard to believe, but we have been doing this for almost 5 years.
Ah!
So-
I'm feeling old.
Yeah. So you can find all those podcasts on podcast.wstrmedia.com, where you can find the back catalog of all our episodes there. Hey, we got some merch. If you want to be covered and head to toe of WSTR stuff, you can go to store.wstrmedia.com. That's where you can find merch. And then, like we said, hey, you can support us in a different way at Patreon, patreon.com/WSTR Media. And we'll give you free exclusive content if you help support us that way. And then thanks for everyone that's hanging out in the YouTube chat. We appreciate you. And then every Monday-ish, 9-ish o'clock, we get on the old YouTubes, and that can be found at livestream.wstrmedia.com. Hey, we are part of the Red 5 Network, and we are having our first award show. Yes, that's right. Don't forget.
Oh my God.
Parsec Awards are coming up on November 27th. That is right around the corner. After you got your fill of the turkeys, hang out with us at the Parsec Awards. It is sponsored by Red 5 Network, and it's a little award show. It's just celebrating pop culture. A lot of new stuff came out this last year, and we're celebrating all the pop culture stuff that came out. So check that out. Follow Red 5 Network or Parsec Awards on your social platforms to get all the details. But yes, it is coming November 27th. It's right around the corner, and we are part of it too. We did a little bit, and you get to see us happening. We introduce a category that I'm not going to tell you because you have to watch November 27th and see if we did a good job or not. I don't know. But yes, that's happening November 27th, the Parsec Awards. Hey, next week, episode 248. That's how it works. Around here, we go in numeral order, forward, not backwards or sideways or any other way, or points or B's or part 2, part 3. But it is episode 248. We're having one of the cosplayers that Carla met at the Rhode Island Comic-Con. Julie's coming on the show, and we're going to be talking about her love of cosplay and all that fun stuff next week.
How about that?
That's right. So, hey, something's coming up, and we just want to thank from the WSTR family to your family. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We are thankful for all the people that we interact with on the old socials and everywhere on the YouTube chat and all that fun stuff. And we appreciate everybody. And so you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Aaron, it's only one way to end us.
Now this
Now
is podcasting.
They call me Hell. They call me Stacy. They call me Her. They call me Jane. That's not my name. That's not my name. That's not my name. That's not my name. They call me Quite Well, but I'm a riot. Mary Jo Lisa, always the same. That's not my name. That's not my name. That's not my name. That's not my name. Been around all night, and that's a They call me hell.